Hello, good afternoon. A rather late edition for this Friday, but it's something I've thought about talking about for quite some weeks now, following the revelations a few months ago about how privacy is becoming more prevalent here in the Philippines, certainly amongst bloggers. But I actually not want to talk about that. But I will talk about privacy. You know, you and I'm talking to you foreigners mainly, even though it may be listened to by many Filipina or Filipino, privacy is important to us all, you know, in its most basic form. You meet a lady for the first time and she meets you for the first time. You go to the toilet, the comfort room, you shut the door, you do your business. And when you come out, you look a little bit, maybe not embarrassed, but just oh well, that was it. And we accept that that is something that we need a private moment for. But there's more to that. You know, we as foreigners bring a lot to the table. We bring our expertise, we bring our finance, we bring our pensions here. And many of us have got either overseas bank accounts or a combination of that and also maybe a local bank account. We may use maybe Wise or one of these funds transfers that allow us to move money across different borders to make sure that we have sufficient money to survive. Now, to me, obviously when I die, she who I'm with at the time will be aware of my bank account. She'll be aware that I will make sure that she has access to it in a way that I feel will be not restricted after I'm gone. Maybe leaving important documents with somebody I can trust to give them. Many foreigners have actually died here in the Philippines. It's been documented. And some of the women left behind have been distraught, not knowing how to access the money that they previously were able to do when he was alive. But when you go, of course, not only do they have the shock of you finally popping a clog, so to speak, but what do I do now? Where do I go next? I mean, apart from the funeral, apart from the burial, maybe the cremation. As long as, for instance, in my case, it's been prearranged, not prearranged, but prepaid for. Therefore, it's all up to St. Peter. And I mean, that's the company name. But it comes down to every month I like to try and save money. For a long time I've not been able to, but I'm back in the groove, so to speak. So it's important that my bank accounts in Australia or New Zealand are known to my partner so that they know the password, they know the access number. And it is important that you write these things down. It's no good locking them away in your telephone or on a laptop if she can't get into it. It's a case of what do we let them know and what do we not? What is the best way? Do we leave an attorney? How honest are the attorneys? Do we leave somebody maybe just simply maybe a son or a daughter overseas? Again, tricky because maybe they see an opportunity. But the reality is that many feel it their privilege to pry into your most personal details. When I say your most personal, meaning before the day is due, they seem to want to know everything. They need to know your phone unlock number. And if you change it for one moment, they tend to, what are you hiding? Why have you changed the number? Now, of course, they might say, my phone is, you can read anything you want. Well, of course, we can't read Tagalog or Visaya. So it's not much use to us knowing their opening lock key number on her phone or her computer. I can't think of the times, so many times I have to make access to a computer and have to ask somebody, what's the password? Now, when I first came here, there was a feeling of total stupidity, we'll call it that, because it was called love, or certainly an understanding of trust. And we picked an easy number or an easy password, and I started using them on everything. So there was no hiding anything, in the sense that they want to look at my emails, they can. If they want to look at my this or that, they can. But often when you want to recover something, they ask you simple questions like, what was your your first pet's name? Where did you used to live? What was the name of your school? What was the first job you went to? What was your favourite subject at school? Now, of course, many of you have used those as a backup for access when you've forgotten a password. Going through Microsoft, they often say, well, okay, it was first established in South Australia at this particular postcode. The passwords I remember were, and you put them in. And it says within 24 hours we'll get back to you to confirm whether you have the right information. Usually within minutes it's been approved, so you've remembered them. So it's important that you remember not only passwords that you've used, but also the key question and answers. And maybe you have to put them down so that somebody else reading them can actually give that information. Sorry. Unfortunately, I had a very hot piece of potato at lunchtime today. I started to swallow it and it got stuck in my throat. It was so hot, it was burning my throat, so I quickly took a gulp of Coke to cool it down. But it's burnt my little esophagus there, and it feels like I've got a frog in my throat. So you have to bear with me here. But it is important that we do all of that. But more importantly, we have to ask ourselves the question, how much information should we allow our partner to have whilst we navigate our daily lives? Should we think it's okay for them to troll through your account, troll through your messages? You know, like when you're 77, it's not like you're going to have very many sweetie pies making comments on your Facebook or otherwise, unless of course you've got TikTok, where I get hundreds of people wanting to be my friend just because I've gone and put British expat in the Philippines on TikTok. That wasn't such a good idea. Makes me realise that lots of people are watching, but I think they're all looking to maybe stand in line borrowing money. But they're not going to get any anyway. But back to the subject that I'm talking about, and that is, how much will you think is enough? When you discover that your partner is just basically eavesdropping everything you do, is that not just an obsession of jealousy or maybe mistrust? And is it a good sign within a relationship when that type of thing happens? Is it a red flag, so to speak, for a long-term relationship? I hope not, because I think it's something that we all need to address with our partners to make her realize that we do have a right to some privacy. I won't say privacy, because it's not a secret that my son maybe writes to me and tells me something in confidence. But it is private in the sense that I don't want necessarily, unless I want to tell somebody, for that information to be shared, either by secret observation or otherwise. So it's important that we draw a line with our partner. Be it if it's a sticking point, then it's something we need to readdress. We need to try our best to get the point across that whilst they might be living a good life, maybe they've got money stashed away that they've not told you about. Maybe they're better off than they're making out that they are. Whatever it is, you just go along with it. You just enjoy their company. And if they're seemingly well-heeled, then be it, that's what they are. But I don't pry into their business. And I think we have to be careful that they don't pry into our business. It's not a case of lying. It's not a case of being secretive. But we should be able to communicate if we wish to with those that we want to. But we also should be able to say to our partner, we will no longer communicate with that person, and they will maybe accept that that is what you will do. Of course, with Filipinas, I've had the experience of when I've not contacted others, but they've dropped me a line. Somehow I'm in contact with these people, and that's not actually the case. I don't have to reply, just like I don't have to reply to a comment, but I do. But I don't have to, and I'm talking about on my YouTube channel, by the way. But it is important that we understand that trust is just as important as privacy. And it's not what they think. It's not secrecy. There is a difference between privacy and secrecy. What is the difference? It has a different meaning within Filipino culture, because for many Filipino, they find it very hard to, I suppose, old habits die hard. And if they've maybe been dealt a bad blow in the past, it's not going to be easy for them to step back and allow you some privacy. Not secrecy, just privacy. After all, it's us who says, hey, I won the lottery today. Or, I didn't. By the way, I didn't. But it's up to us to draw the line and make the boundaries for us so that we have a happy life, happy wife, happy partner, whatever. Because, like I say, they're all little volcanoes, and talking to an exploding volcano is not a good option, certainly not for me, because I just throw my hands up, not literally, but I just feel, what's the point? I don't want this argument. So it is a difficult thing to navigate, and I'm sure somebody out there, if not many, have experienced the same. What's your thoughts on the matter? Do have a lovely weekend coming up, and have a lovely evening. Bye now.